Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as reports of a price being agreed for Mbuemo come through. Is £63 million too much? Will Manchester United actually pay it? We're also in for Mbuemo, according to our latest striker transfer news. Napoli are saying no to Sancho. We will not pay your wages. His wage demands are apparently very, very big again. I also want to talk about the perfect summer that could have been comparable to previous summers where we've had money to spend and we didn't have a good market. There's a really good market here. Can United spend? There's a goalkeeper or two or three. There's a few strikers. There are midfielders. There are centre-backs. There are wing-backs. There are wingers. There are number 10s. Is this the summer of opportunity that we are about to waste? We'll look at Liverpool and how they have quickly sold a player within 3 or 4 days in Kwanzaa, and United seem to be struggling to sell players that apparently were going to be quite easy to sell. Rashford, Anthony, Garnacho. We need to move. We've spoken about that before. So lots to get into on the show tonight. I hope you're all doing very well. Bit of a weird one, I've got to say, today. I didn't actually do a morning show because I was at a football tournament with Seb, and then I didn't do an afternoon show because I wanted to keep it back for this. So my first show of the day with you all. So I hope you're doing well. Apologies for no morning show. But to be honest with you, sometimes a rest is good. I think we were getting a little bit... we don't have to do a show every morning. I like doing them, but we will do it a bit as a news show tonight. So what's this price agreed stuff, says Aman. Well, look, maybe get a pinch of salt and take it with a pinch of salt. But basically, Manchester United had a bid for, and this is established, Manchester United had a bid of £45 million plus 10 rejected at the start of June. Many people reported this, David Ornstein, etc. So start of June, 45 million plus 10, £55 million deal was rejected. Now, the story in the last 24 hours has been, and it's coming in from somebody called Rudy Galletti, who I've never bloody heard of, but some people say is about as reliable as a cat, and some people say is very reliable. So he's saying that Manchester United basically have the bones of a £63 million deal plus add-ons done and agreed with Brentford. I don't even know who this source is. I've never bloody heard of them, which is incredible. But they do exist. I've never heard of them in relation to reliability at all, and we've certainly not been backed up by Romano or Ornstein, who seem to be very good on this deal. So, look, are we about to get some development on it? Rory C says 63 plus add-ons, madness. Yeah, but to be fair, Rory, some people reported the rejected deal as 55 million plus add-ons. I think they report it sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, that 55 million plus add-ons meant that it includes the add-ons. I read it like you. But it was 45 plus 10 that got rejected, but some people reported it as 55 plus add-ons, but it was 45 plus 10. So this could be 63 including add-ons. So instead of having 45 plus 10 rejected, this could be 50 plus 13, 55 plus 8. Essentially, I assume the package would be £63 million altogether, which is pretty much what we paid for Cunha, which is basically what Brentford wanted. Brentford wants £60 million. My general thought on this is that, I mean, we're splitting hairs on the inevitable. Brentford have always wanted to achieve £60 million. That's their fee for Mbuemo, and they are aiming that at what we paid for Cunha. And Mbuemo and Cunha had very similar seasons last year. They're at very similar clubs, Brentford and Wolves, and they're very similar ages. So Man United don't really have, an argument there. I don't think. I think if Brentford say we want 60 because that's what you paid for Cunha, Man United can't really moan about that too much. I wonder if this story is true, and I'm not saying it is. I'm wondering if it's true, whether instead of paying 60, we're going to give them 63 to get a little bit more leeway on instalments. For example, Brentford might accept 60, but they might not accept 3 years of £20 million payments. Whereas if we give them 63, maybe they'll accept those 3 years. The reality is, whether this story is true or not, I don't think it's particularly far off. I think it could be guesswork. I think this could be a big week in the deal, hopefully, because it's the last week of June. We've had 45 plus 10 rejected, which is a £55 million package. Brentford are not going to sell for anything less than 60. So I would imagine we are probably going to pay 50 plus add-ons or 55 plus add-ons. And it will come to 60 to 63 million pounds. Is that too much? It's only too much if it's too much for Cunha. And that's all I would say. It's not, Mbeumo's price is not too much comparable to what we paid for Cunha. It's just whether it's too much for that. We will have to play instalments. So look, it's interesting. I don't have a massive problem with the price. You're going to have to pay that because you paid it for Cunha. So I just think that at the end of the day, the sad thing about this is that we are ultimately doing what we've all predicted, which is take weeks to save 3 or 4 million quid. That's all we're doing. This deal's been 3 weeks now since David Ornstein dropped it tomorrow. 3 weeks tomorrow, because it was 3 weeks tomorrow that I was flying to New York, and that's when I saw it on the plane. So we've had 45 plus 10 rejected. We're arguing for 5 million quid basically. Yeah, I mean, nothing. I mean, look, I'm in a good mood, but I'm not going to go back on what I've said last night. I think we're working way too slow. But I don't. I mean, look, you tell me. I don't have a massive problem with the fee because it's what we paid for Cunha. Saw somewhere about Garnacho staying. Do you know? Says Reflex. I mean, we can talk about that a little bit later, but I don't think so. 63 million Mbuemo with 1 year left gives me Mount vibes. There ain't no way Mbuemo has got 1 year left on his contract, mate. Absolutely not. I have never, ever heard that. And for somebody that does this for a living, I would be stunned if I'd missed that. No, he's got 2 years left on his contract. He's got a contract till 2026 with the option of a further year, which they would obviously activate. So it's a 2-year contract. Evening Legends, what I don't understand, even if they are struggling to get players in, why they're not selling players yet. Sell now, do it, says Mike JW. Missed you, glad to catch the live, says Jacob. I've missed you all today. It's been weird not streaming, but it was a long tournament with Seb today. God. We started at 9 o'clock and it finished till 2. I like these summer tournaments, but oh God, long tournament. Thank you, Jacob. I like Mwani, but I don't. If he could, I don't know if he could cut it in the Premier League. Not really heard much of him at PSG, says Tumbleweed. Well, I want to come back to that comment about selling, because that's really important. Rico, welcome to the Members Club. But let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep talking about the breaking news that's come in today. So L'Equipe have linked us to Monaco and Onana, obviously, a few days ago. They're now linking us to Mwani. All I can think of Mwani, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're also linked to Martinez. Whenever I think about Mwani, I just think, well, France should have won the World Cup. That last minute of extra time where he's running through one-on-one and Martinez makes that great save, but I still think he should have scored. So he's currently at Juventus. I don't know, does he actually play for Juventus? Or is he moving to Juventus at the end of the loan? I think, wasn't there he's PSG, isn't he? But he went on loan to Juventus and I think there was an option to buy. Anyway, he's obviously been playing at Juventus. He's 26. He'd be 27 he's older than I thought, actually. He'd be 27 in December. So he's basically the same age as Osimhen and Gyökeres. So he played today for Juventus in the Club World Cup. Fair play if you're watching that, by the way. Do you get badges for that? Is it like one of those, you know, like when you go to Subway and you know, every time you buy a foot long, you get a little badge. Does that happen with the Club World Cup? Is it like a loyalty scheme? Fair play for still watching it, is what I'm trying to say. Apparently he's just missed a sitter as well, says Stephen. Fair play for watching it. I mean, I just want to get a clap for everybody who's watching the Club World Cup. Come on, you know, well done. Well done. At least you're in the minority. Would you swap Bergvall for Mainoo? Great question, Bango. Can I just talk about Mainoo, though, for a moment and remind me, and I will come back. So, Mwani being linked to Manchester United by L'Equipe. First thoughts are, and I want to just get interactive on this one. Would you sign Mwani? Someone just said I'd rather sign Moana. I've never watched it. Moana. This is good. Yeah, actually, I saw one of the comments yesterday and somebody said, Goldbridge, you absolutely live up the arse of Fabrizio Romano. If he says something, you think it's true. May as well call him Fabrizio Rimano. Rim Arno. I didn't tell it as well as I read it, but it did make me laugh. But anyway, let me come back to what we're talking about. So Mbuemo to Manchester United. He's basically the same age as Gyökeres and Osimhen. He's probably available for about £30 million. And I just feel that with Mbuemo, it's not the right step for Manchester United, is it? I mean, Ney says, who's your preferred striker? It's still Gyökeres for me. But when I talk about Mbuemo, I think Timo Werner, I think, Rasmus, I think Darwin Núñez. I think of strikers that, and look, it's not fair to throw Rasmus into that. He's a lot younger and he's had a baptism of fire. I think it's disgusting that he's been our starting striker from 20 years of age in two of the most difficult seasons United have had in recent history. But he has become, I think he would admit himself that his confidence has been rocked and he's not performing as well as maybe he could do. So I look at Mbuemo and I think, well, he's a lot older than Rasmus. I think he's older than Darwin Núñez. And I just think, why would you buy a striker like that already comes? It's like Nicholas Jackson, isn't it? Would you buy Nicholas Jackson? Might not be a bad player. Who's better, Jackson or Mbuemo? And that's the thing. It sort of, I just don't think it's the right deal for Manchester United to do. I think it's the sort of deal we do if we're panicking and we haven't got a lot of money. But I mean, look, we've been linked to Gyökeres. We've been linked to Osimhen. To buy someone like Mbuemo would be a step back. And also it would concern me. He's never played in the Premier League. He's 27. He is, as I say, probably all I think about him is that chance. And I just think that's not the right player for Manchester United. I also think L'Équipe are linking him to us because we're Manchester United and the 5 strands of a transfer. Sometimes the agent will use Man United to generate interest in their player. I don't think Juventus are that interested in taking him. So suddenly you've got to find a club because PSG don't want him. So you mentioned Manchester United, don't you? Hi Mark, trust you well, says Risick. You speak of a lot of good transfers. What do you think of Powder of Espanyol? Good winger. Stats, 35 games, 12 goals and 3 assists. Plus he's free. I've never heard him be linked to us, mate. I haven't. Would you swap Bergvall for Mainoo? Was Bango's question. I really like Bergvall. And I think that he would be a player that could play in the holding midfield position that we need. So I think he's a player that we need. We're not going to get, by the way. I think he'd be brilliant for what we need. But the player that Mainoo can be, I wouldn't swap him for Bergvall. But I understand why some people would, because he is the player that we need in that sort of midfield pivot, and he'd be brilliant at it. I think he's been a very good signing for Spurs. But the player Mainoo can be, I wouldn't want to swap him because obviously I'm very loyal to our players that come through, and I still think there's a lot to see. Javier Hernandez, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. We already have Ahmad in right wing. We should prioritise midfield and goalkeeper instead of Mbuemo, says Mohammed. I strongly believe United are waiting for the 1st of July for PSR, says DV. I sort of do, mate. I sort of do. But I also think that even if you're waiting till July the 1st, you've got to sell Anthony, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho. You've got to buy a goalkeeper, a striker, and Mbuemo. And God knows what else. I mean, wait until July the 1st and you're going on tour 3 weeks later. Are you going to do 8 deals in 3 weeks? No. If we're waiting until July the 1st, we're in trouble. Liverpool didn't wait till July the 1st. You had to be doing stuff. And unless everything's going to get lined up, and United don't do that. So no, I don't see that happening. Danny Wade says, what's your thoughts on Rashford's latest and blatant attempt to leave, engineering a meeting with Spanish YouTubers to talk about Barcelona, acting like a free agent? Danny, if we've got more time to talk about Rashford later in the show, we can do. I've seen some of this reaction to it, and I think that, look, Rashford very rarely gives interviews to anybody. I saw him sat down with 2 people and I didn't know who they were. Apparently they're Spanish YouTubers. Fair play to them for getting the scoop. He is still contracted to Manchester United. Why is he sitting down doing an interview with Spanish YouTubers? Have Man United agreed that that's a good idea again? Or is it just Rashford going rogue? I mean, these are all valid questions if you actually care. I don't care. If he's engineering a move, great. But obviously, I don't think it's something Man United would have been happy about, but I don't care as long as he gets a move. Ross Hill says, Garnacho wearing a Rashford Aston Villa jersey on Instagram. Mate, you've got to be taking the piss. If everyone's going to Instagram, by the way, give Goldbridge Hot Takes a follow. But this, I think I'm being bantered here. There ain't no way Garnacho's going to be doing that. No. I've fallen for it. No, he's not. He's not. Liverpool can spend in 2024-25 because they only spent 10 million on Chiesa. They can go strong before July the 1st. Our sales are held up by buying clubs also meeting PSR, says David. Sorry to divert the conversation, but was wondering if you've seen that article about the Omar Barada interview. Is that from Swedish Rumble? If I get time, I'm going to bring it in very, very soon. It's not. I've just been on his Instagram. I can't see anything. People are saying it's true. I've literally just been there. Garnacho. Right, I've got a story here from Napoli about... I'm on his Instagram, it's not there. Where am I going? Garnacho. It's on X. I can't see it. It's his post. Garnacho enjoying his summer holiday. Do we really think that that's him? I don't know whether that's true. I don't know whether that's true. I'll have to come back to it. Let me just talk to you quickly. You know what? I will lose it. I will lose it. Get ready for that. I will absolutely lose it. Yeah, okay, let me just talk to you about what's been said here. So this is coming, I'm not happy about that. The thing about me is, I don't do player FC. Rashford was one of my favourite players. Martial was one of my favourite players. When they're not delivering in a Man United shirt, go. Garnacho, I've backed for years. I've said Garnacho's got the highest ceiling, fantastic player. I've got to say, Ben Foster said to me 3 years ago, I don't like that Garnacho. I don't like him. There's just something about him I don't like him. I don't think Ben Foster will mind me saying this, by the way, because he's been proven right. He said, there's something about that Garnacho, I just do not like him. I don't know what it is, and I just do not like him. There's something there about Garnacho I don't like. Great footballer, but there's something about him. And I was like, what are you talking about? Have you ever met him? What are you on about? He goes, oh, no, I just don't, well, maybe he was right. Maybe he was right. Anyway, this is coming in from Napoli sporting director on Jadon Sancho. This is a direct quote. Our offer is clear. We will not pay Sancho's requested salary. So again, another problem player who will not. I mean, look, this Garnacho thing for me is really riling me up. But so let's leave Sancho out of it for a moment. But that is incredible. Oh, it's on his bloody... It is! It's on his bloody Instagram. Like, swoop across, there it is. What an absolute pillock. What an absolute pillock. I mean, you know what? I'm going to get clipped, but, you know, we do live as a community in a bubble, and you're allowed to have an opinion, of course, and it probably won't be shared by everybody. But that's disgusting to you and me. especially those of us who didn't want him to get sold, especially those of us who've supported him, especially, well, as you should do as a United fan, you should support and back players, especially younger players. But to post holiday pics, of which one is an Aston Villa shirt with Rashford on the back, is just a big pillock move. And I'll tell you why. It's not about the name on the back. It's another Premier... I don't care about the Rashford thing. I know that's like the icing on the cake. I don't care if it says Morgan Rogers on it. I don't... If it said Emi Martinez on it, it was a goalkeeper top. It's going to get a bit hot in Ibiza, but I think, well, Argentinian maybe. But to wear an Aston Villa shirt, that's the issue. I don't give a shit about Rashford. That doesn't bother me. What are you doing on your holidays as a paid Manchester United player wearing an Aston Villa shirt? And let me put it like this. If Saka was on holiday wearing a Spurs shirt, would that be okay? If Bruno Fernandes was on holiday wearing a Liverpool shirt, would that be okay? If Harry Maguire was on holiday and he's wearing a Newcastle shirt, would that be okay? If Ahmad's on holiday and he's walking around in a Chelsea shirt, is that okay? No. It's a big, massive piss take. And it's a big, massive piss take to you and me. And it doesn't matter whether you like Garnacho like I do or you don't like Garnacho. We're all right. That's taking the piss. When you take a picture on Instagram, right, you know how these footballers work? They're not taking a picture, oh, that's good, just put them all out. It will be from different angles. Ooh, you know what? You know what I like about this picture is you're wearing a Villa shirt and it says Rashford and it'll really piss the club off. But also, I like the lighting. I like the background. They'll have took loads of these pictures to get the perfect one. Then you've got to upload them to Instagram. Then you've got to write your little thing. There are so many opportunities to go, this is a bad idea, delete it. This is a bad idea, let's not post it. This is a bad idea, let's run it past the club. This is a bad idea, let's run it past the agent. There are so many opportunities to not do that. And they've still done it. And what pisses me off about it is it's a big up yours to you and me as United fans. I don't care if you've got an issue with Amorim. I don't care if you've got an issue with the Glazers. Maybe you've got a fair issue with Amorim and the Glazers. Maybe you have. But there are a lot of United fans that have had your back and you've just basically gone up yours. And you know what you've done? You know what you've done, mate? You've basically just proven the point of everybody I and others have stuck up for you against. The amount of times I've heard people go, he's a little prima donna, he's immature, he's a twat, he behaves like a fucking idiot, he's up his own arse. And I've always gone, and some of you have always gone, he's 20 years of age, he's got a great talent, he's probably got the wrong people around him, he needs to grow up a little bit. You stick up for him, you stick up for him. Oh, fuck, you know what? That's just disgusting. And it's disgusting to every single United fan. You've just basically gone, fuck you. And that, to me, proved... And I want to apologise to everybody who has said that Garnacho needs to bloody grow up and piss off. Because you were right. I just wanted to see the good in it. What he has done there, he has basically put a rival club's shirt on, said up yours to every Man United fan, and also, let's call it for what it is, this is disrespectful, and he's lowering his own value to get the move he wants. He wants to go and play for Aston Villa, so he's trying to lower his value to get a move to Villa. He's behaving like an absolute twat. Now, somebody just said you're overreacting, and somebody said it's not that deep. Mate, please tell me why it's not that deep. Because I have never seen this before. I have never... So in 2025, it's okay for a current Man United player to go and wear the shirt of a rival Premier League club. I don't know many people who'd be okay with this. I don't know. If Cunha had been walking around in a Man United shirt before he'd signed for us, he's a twat. If Mbeumo starts walking around in a Man United shirt before he's signed for us, he's a twat. Like, this is twat behaviour. This is twat. If you think it's okay and not that deep, don't ever come on here talking to me about standards and Man United again. You don't do it, mate. Where's he got a bloody Villa shirt from anyway? I mean, I just look. Right, okay. Look, this is how we do it here. Would you sign Mbuemo? 61% of you saying no. Look, I have my opinions. I remember when Marcus Rashford went out in Belfast and I nearly had to shut the channel down because I was going mad. So many people were saying it is him, he's out on the piss, he's going to miss training. And I said, nonsense. No. And I was wrong. So I don't mind being in the minority. But is it okay for Garnacho to wear a Villa shirt? Yes or no? Is it? You let me know. Hi, Mark. Get your comments in as well. Hi, Mark. Maybe you already mentioned it, but what are your thoughts on the story Sancho to Villa and how credible is the journalist has read? I don't know who the journalist is. Sam C posted it. All right, Lee. I've seen it on Instagram anyway now, but thank you very much for that. David Faulkner says Liverpool done that one as well. So thank you very much. So, yeah, if you're just tuning into this, by the way, Garnacho has... Let me get this poll working. Garnacho has posted a picture on his Instagram of him walking up a drive in Ibiza wearing an Aston Villa shirt with Marcus Rashford on the back. Is that okay to do that? I'll tell you what, if Marcus Rashford did that a year ago with no links to Aston Villa, people would go mad. Absolutely mad. If Paul Pogba, when he was at the club in the summer, posted a picture of himself in a Chelsea shirt, people would go mad. So let's bring a bit of context in here. If Mason Mount was walking around on holiday in a Chelsea shirt, people would lose their shit. I can't understand the people who are saying it's not that deep. He plays for Manchester United and he's walking around in an Aston Villa shirt, posting it on his Instagram. If somebody takes a picture of him in the street wearing a Villa shirt, it's going to be a little bit bad. But posting it on your own Instagram, he knows what he's doing. He knew exactly what he was doing after the final as well. What people seem to forget about this is, and I told it you the morning after the Europa League final, he's 100% leaving. And you know what? Some people didn't disagree. Some people didn't agree with it because they were like, well, the club's not said anything. It wasn't coming from the club. It was coming from Garnacho's side. He's decided he wanted to go. Obviously, Amorim agreed with it, but he decided he was done. And what this is him. Apparently, Bruno's liked the picture. Well, maybe he hasn't looked at the Villa one. If he has, what's going on? You know, what's going on? But yeah, what I was saying is like the biggest problem you've got with this is you've got Kwanzaa going from Liverpool player last Monday to Leverkusen player today. Here we go. In the space of a few days, Liverpool sell a peripheral centre-back for £30 million plus 5 in add-ons and a buyback clause. In the space of a few days, £30 million for Kwanzaa. Straight in. He's a youth product, so it's pure profit in a matter of days. Man United knew Garnacho was going a month ago. Nothing. Absolutely nothing's been done. So Kwanzaa, in the space of a few days, becomes a Leverkusen player, cash in the bank. Man United with Garnacho, nothing. We're not in talks with anybody. There's no prospect of us being in talks with anybody. We just sat there letting him go on holiday, posting pictures in a Villa shirt. And his price is dropping by the day. Because he said after the final, I'm leaving. And now he's wearing a Villa shirt. So I know what's going to happen here. Villa are going to say, we'll give you 30 million. And Man United are going to say, you're having a laugh. And then Garnacho's going to say, I only want Villa. And then Villa are going to say, we'll give you 35 million. And then Man United are going to go, no. And then weeks are going to go by. And then we're going to have to go, yes. So we've basically got a player that's sort of going to be, he's not on strike, that's not fair. But what this is, it's a bit like what we had with Anthony, where he's basically, I only want to go to Villa, and that's where I'm going to go. And I'm wearing a Villa shirt. And I mean, if you're a Villa fan, you're loving it. I think, you know what? I think he'd do well at Villa as well. I think he'd do well at Villa. I think he'd be a good player for Villa. I think Emery would be a good thing for him. And if he'd gone to Villa without all this, I probably would have wished him all the best. But this just feels like a big fuck you. It really, really does. Hi, Mark. Maybe you already mentioned it, but what are your thoughts on the Sancho story? I've done that one as well. Sorry, I need to just refresh here because there are a lot of people not a lot of people. I've seen a few people in the chat saying it's not that deep. I'd love to, instead of saying it's not that deep, because all I'd call you is a troll, try and communicate a couple of sentences as to why it's not that deep, because ultimately I've not mentioned Rashford on the back. I don't care about that. That's irrelevant to me. Putting Rashford on the back, you know, maybe you sent him the shirt. I don't care about that. It's the fact that you're a serving Man United player who may want to go to Aston Villa, who is on holiday, being paid by our football club, wearing an Aston Villa shirt. And I could say that about Aaron Wan-Bissaka last summer, being on holiday, walking around in a West Ham shirt. I could say last summer, Scott McTominay being on holiday, walking around in an Everton shirt, if he wanted to go there. They don't do it. Nobody does it. Because it's crossing a line and it's disrespectful. So if you think it's not that deep, that's fine. Maybe that's the way football's going with Player FC. But I actually support Manchester United. I don't like the Glazers. I don't like what we're doing in the transfer window, but I'm very loyal and I will always defend the football club. And I think that is a piss take. I genuinely do. And all right, there's a few other pictures in there and maybe the PR will be, I've deleted it, I didn't realise. Come on. It's a stupid thing to do in my mind. Matthew says, Garnacho and Sancho are two of the most horrid attitudes ever. I'd prefer to make them sit in the reserves and ruin their own careers. I'm very disappointed in Garnacho about this. I mean, ultimately, he's a 20-year-old kid, but I've backed him for a long time. I think he's a fantastic talent. Nothing's going to change that. But I am disappointed because there are people that have backed him, and it just feels like a slap in the face. And a lot of people, and look, I don't know why people think I'm stubborn or anything like that. There's a lot of people who've got every right to say, I told you so. There's loads, I know loads of people online in this chat. There's a lot of people who've got every right to say, I told you so. And I would say to every Man United player that is liking that post, if you know any Man United players or you're an agent of a player, I would tell them to unlike that post instantly because they are outing themselves as idiots who don't check the context. You cannot be liking a post where a current player is wearing a rival shirt. You can't be doing that. It's stupidity. So I would say some of these players are probably on Instagram looking at the first picture. They probably haven't looked at the fact that the third or fourth one is that. Disgusting, big slap in the face to the fans, says Ruza. This shows how shit Bruno is as a captain. No control, says Keel. Garnacho loan option to buy deadline day, says Ed. You know what? He's meant to be the easiest sale to get money into the club. It's just... You know what? I don't blame Amorim. I don't blame Amorim. But you've got to blame somebody. And I think this just exposes the enormity of what... I mean, look at these three stories, okay? Look at the weekend we've had. And people think things aren't happening. Look at the weekend we've had. We've had Marcus Rashford sat doing an interview with two Spanish YouTubers, basically arse-licking Barcelona begging for a move, under contract for Manchester United. We've had Jadon Sancho be offered an out to Napoli, and the Napoli director has said we won't pay his wages because he's still asking for stupid money. And then we've got Garnacho walking around in an Aston Villa shirt, posting it on his Instagram. I mean, you couldn't get three better stories of the problems that Ruben Amorim is inheriting. One player's being paid 300 grand a week and is doing interviews begging Barcelona. Another player's being paid 300 grand a week and won't take a pay cut to go to Napoli. And then another player who's, you know, meant to be the big next thing is walking around in a rival shirt. I mean, as Aiden says, fair play to Anthony. Wants to go to Betis and take a pay cut because he just wants to play football. But it just highlights the problems that we have at the football club. A toxic dressing room and a toxic boardroom. And we are just reaping the benefits, not the benefits, we are reaping the disadvantages of that, essentially. Get your comments in. Do you get the feeling that Amorim is struggling to control the players? His man management is not up to standard. Do you agree? Keep up the great work, says Ryle. You know what I think it is? And I've seen it in the Premier League before. You bring a disciplinarian in, like Jose Mourinho, from Porto to Chelsea, and it works because the players buy into it. Because that club was being built before Mourinho. They already had money coming in. They already had the likes of John Terry, Frank Lampard, people like that who wanted to learn. You bring a disciplinarian from Sporting into Manchester United. We brought Rangnick in, and they don't listen because they're like, who are you? Who are you to tell me what to do? And that's the problem at Manchester United. Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest player that's arguably ever lived, came back to Manchester United. He was a living legend at Manchester United. He came back to Manchester United. What did he say? They didn't want to listen. The younger players didn't want to listen to what I had to say and copy what I did. That's Cristiano Ronaldo in the dressing room. One of football's biggest icons, and the younger players didn't want to listen to him. So what chance has Amorim got? You've got to clean house. What did Rangnick say? Open heart surgery. That's what you've got to do. Glenn C says, Paul Ince was pictured in a Man United shirt before signing for the club and the West Ham fans never forgave him. It was a different time, I know, says Glenn. Well, I remember that, Glenn. You're absolutely right. It was bang out of order. That's made me lose all my loyalty towards him. Disgusting behaviour by someone we've backed and protected against certain fans in the media. I feel very let down, Ewan. But I don't actually feel surprised. Dorgu got pictured wearing a Roma shirt too, says Angus. It's my birthday today, Mark. Just want to say I appreciate everything you do and love the community. Appreciate the time you invest in the channel. Oh, appreciate you, Mike. Thank you very much and happy birthday. Hope you have a good day. He can fuck himself, says Joseph, and he can take Rashford with him, says Joseph. I tell you what, I bet Marcus Rashford sat there saying, it ain't my bloody fault he's got Rashford on the back, which is why I don't want to make it about Rashford. For me, the Rashford thing is irrelevant. If anything, I don't know whether Garnacho's stupid or trying to be clever. Is he trying to say, Rashford's my idol, so I'm wearing a shirt that he... It's stupidity. And this is what happens when you're 20 years of age. We've all... Well, some of you haven't, but when you're 20, sometimes you think you're a lot cleverer than you are. Absolute stupidity, really. But, you know, what can we do? Bruno liked it, then unliked it. If so, he has seen it. Yeah, well, there you go. I'm not going to hold it against any United player that's liked it. Because, to be fair, it's not the picture. If you go to Garnacho's Instagram, I feel like I should leave a comment. I've left a comment. Yeah, if you look at it, it's the first picture is just him in a pool. The second picture is him having a drink. It's the third picture in a Rashford top, in a Villa top. And it's funny how he's posted 9 pictures and the only one in a football shirt is a Villa one. Look, he's going to get a lot of interaction, a lot of followers. %100 knows what he's doing. Sorry, I've just posted off the wrong account. It's not a burner. I've just posted off Goldbridge Hot Takes. I'll post it off a better one. But as I said, I think my big concern here is not the fact that he's wearing a Villa shirt. I mean, I think it's a piss take, but Man United wants 60 million for him. How does that impact? De Ligt still liked it, by the way. Maud's has liked it. Shall I shout out people who've liked it? Charlie McNeil. Zara Connolly. She works at Man United. She likes it. De Ligt likes it. Aiden Heaven likes it. Bruno Fernandes still likes it. Kobe Mainoo likes it. Marcus Rashford likes it. He bloody loves it. Maybe people haven't seen the third picture. Here, I want to post this. There you go. I've just basically posted, bang out of order. Marcus Rashford's posted my brother. First to reply as well. Yeah, loads of people not happy about it. Look, as I said, I don't care about people who've liked it because they might only see the picture in the pool. If you've seen the picture in the Villa shirt and you're liking it, I don't really understand that, but educate me. I don't care about the Rashford thing on the back. It's great publicity for Rashford, of course, and I'm sure Rashford's feels like, you know, to me it feels a little bit like Rashford and Garnacho teaming up to fuck Amorim over. And you know I'm always going to back the manager because you're fucking the club over as well. You are privileged Manchester United players who've been paid good money, and you're basically ambassadors of Player FC, and I can't stand Player FC. I'm Manchester United FC. So these little brand prats do my head in when they start behaving like this. And I'm very disappointed by it because it's the modern world. I get it. You know, they've got families and futures to build, and football careers can be quite short, especially when you're not performing on the pitch. But when you start wearing other club shirts, and so many United fans have had your back, it's a piss take. You know, out in Asia, you know that stupid end of season Asia tour we did? Oh my God, Garnacho was treated like a bloody legend. They loved Garnacho over there. And he walked around moody the whole fucking time. And they were treating him like a bloody hero. And he was moody signing stuff. He was moody with people. And they, you know, rightly or wrongly, they treated Garnacho like the superstar. And he was moody. I mean, you know what? Footballers get a bad name. They live in a bubble and they've got no manners and they've got no respect. That sort of behaviour is just disgusting. He needs to fucking grow up. It's disgusting to do that. Absolutely disgusting to every Man United fan in the world, but also specifically those who've backed him, championed him, put his shirt on the back of the name. It's just bang out of order. It is. It's really bang out of order. The Glazers and now Sir Jim, enable and responsible for Player FC. Proper owners would not stand for these prats bantering and disgracing our club, says Jesse. Thank you very much for that. Disgusting, says... sorry, I'm just catching up here. Disgusting, big slap in the face to all of us, says Reza. Give them the Schweinsteiger treatment, says Matthew. But that's what they want. That's what they want. Rashford has commented on the post, says Ruzi. Bruno's been liking Rashford's post, not my captain, says Mo. I mean... look, Bruno's not walking around in an Aston Villa shirt, is he? But what football fans need to realise is these people don't support Manchester United. They are professional athletes who are friends with each other. They go on planes together, they stay in hotels together, they communicate together, they go for meals together. They will be friends. Bruno's probably really good friends with Rashford. He's probably really good friends with Garnacho. So they are friends. His loyalty will be to his friends more than to you. So him liking their posts and everything like that, guess what? Bruno Fernandes is massive friends with Bernardo Silva. And yet he plays for Manchester City. That's just football. That's what we've created. This is what Roy Keane was on about. You don't see in the tunnel now people ready to go to war against each other. They're hugging and kissing and having a chat. They are professional paid athletes. The loyalty, aggression between each other and that sort of stuff is left for the fans now. So I haven't got, I mean, I don't like it, but it's not a surprise. If I worked at Asda and wore a Tesco top, I'd get sacked for breaching dress code policy, says Fairway 5. Garnacho doing this is like being a director at Apple, walking around boldly with a Samsung. No respect, yet we have fans okay with it. Modern football, says Harv. Hi, Mark. Lost my uncle last night at just past 2 a.m. 27 days ago, he was told he had terminal cancer. He didn't even get the chance to fight it. Thanks for the content, mate, on all the channels. It helps. Luke, really sorry to hear that. Thoughts go out to you and your family, and obviously rest in peace to your uncle. And thanks for being part of the community, and I hope in some small way that being part of it helps you through these difficult times. I'm sorry to hear that, Luke. Adam James says he can't be near the tour squad, surely. I don't think he wants to be, mate. This is what Anthony did. Anthony did this at Ajax. You basically just make a decision that you're going to make things difficult. You make a decision that you're going to be a twat. Happens all the time in US sports, even if they don't want to leave. Wouldn't fly back in the day, but times change. Also, Pacers or Thunders tonight, says Rylan. I've got no idea, so I'll say Pacers. I'm convinced Garnacho is another spineless leak, says Mo. If Garnacho wants to take the piss and wear a Villa shirt, then send him there, says Liam. David says, Rashford, Sancho and Garnacho, toxic individuals in the dressing room. Me first players. The audacity of Rashford to think he's at Barca's level, says David. Rash commented he definitely saw the third pick as well, says Jacob. Garnacho is an Egypt for what he's done, says Rico. Garnacho is an immature little brat. Fine him big time, says Michael. Why bring an Aston Villa kit on holiday? Moron, says Matthew Hay. I know, it's a great point. When I go on holiday, you've only got so much sort of baggage you can take. Now, Garnacho's got a wife and a kid. You know, you haven't got loads of room. I'm sort of like, when I'm going on holiday, I've got like 4 or 5, short sleeve shirts for the evening. And I think I'll only actually need 3. I'm not going to stop packing an Aston Villa shirt just for a piss take Insta. Imagine this under Sir Alex, says Chris. Well, we should imagine it under Sir Alex, Chris, because that's exactly how the club should be behaving. If Sir Jim Radcliffe wants to have a go. Comment removed, says Zay. Whose comment's been removed? Probably mine. Mark, we should imagine it under Sir Alex Ferguson, because why should we imagine? That's what Man United used to be. Why is that not the reality now? If I was Sir Jim Radcliffe, I'd be rubbing my hands together and going, nobody likes me, here we go. Fabrizio Romano time. Now is my time to shine. If I'm Sir Jim Radcliffe, I'm on the phone now to head of comms saying, get this statement out tonight. This is where United go wrong. Like, Garnacho could have delivered them an assist for the first time in a while. Because if I'm Sir Jim Radcliffe, this is an open goal. I'm coming out tonight, not in that way, with a statement saying, we're really disappointed by the action of Alejandro Garnacho tonight in posting an Instagram picture of himself in a rival shirts team. We don't expect this of a Manchester United player. It doesn't befit the standards we've upheld at this great football club, and there will be a full investigation and the results of which will be posted forthwith. But rest assured, Manchester United do not take these matters lightly. Just put it out there. And people would go, fair play. Fair play, because you've got him banged to rights. The whole world's seen it. Why should Man United sit? You know what? I feel like sometimes, I thought the interview by Rashford at Christmas, which he did behind the club's back, was not great. But it's not as bad as this. And I think sometimes the club are just so wary of upsetting sponsors and stuff like that, that we just take it. And I think that there's a great opportunity here to sort of step forward and, show a bit of strength. Show a bit of strength, definitely. Snowball says, does Ange schooling Amorim in the Europa final with counter-attack football suggest we're being too clever with these continental hipster managers? Maybe a more pragmatic, basic style would bring success. I don't think we're going to end up talking about Amorim's tactics tonight, mate. There might be a filler show later on in the week, but I don't think we're going to be getting moved away onto that. Amorim's findings about both of them justified tonight. Well, James, you've absolutely dropped the microphone there. Anybody that says that Ruben Amorim was wrong to drop them against Man City back in December, which was shocking, and anybody that says that Ruben Amorim was wrong to get rid of Marcus Rashford and Garnacho, has he not been proved right tonight by their petulant behaviour over this weekend? Professional players get their head down and work hard and respect the club, fans and manager of the club that they're at. This is just petulant behaviour, isn't it? 41% said yes. Are you mad to support a club? Oh, here we go. Is it okay for Garnacho to wear a Villa shirt? 43% said yes. that can only be, well, we've only had 12,000 votes. So we've had 6,000 trolls. Look, tell us in the comments why it's okay for Garnacho to wear a rival shirt and take the piss out of you. Why is it okay? I'm absolutely stunned about that. Either real fans haven't voted, or we don't know that it's what the problem is here. Remember a while back when Bruno was outing Garnacho for his attitude? Maybe the signs were there from the start and we papered over the cracks, says Al Nazar. If he wants to wear Rashford shirt, wear his United shirt. He's doing it on purpose. What a prat, says Mikel. Mark, can I buy you an Aston Villa jersey, says Mr. Bruno. Look, if you're an Aston Villa fan, it's brilliant. It's free advertising. You know, if you're a Villa fan, and I know a few, they'll be bloody loving that. Fair play. Garnacho would have launched off to the moon if it was Sir Alex. Never mind Birmingham, says Emily Derry. And I just ordered a fake Garnacho Man United shirt as well, says Tora. Will Garnacho get sacked for wearing a Villa shirt? You can't sack him because we need to sell him. He's got us by the balls. So you can't sack him because we need the 40 million to buy him. Apparently your comment's been deleted from his Instagram. Well, I mean, again, why would you be surprised by that? All I've said is that you're out of order treating fans like that who have backed you. If he's deleting comments, well, you know, that's his right at the end of the day. But the truth obviously hurts. Doesn't want the truth on his PR piece, does he? No, it's still there. It is still there. Very disappointed. Yeah, very disappointed. But not surprised. Paul Pogba's going to go to Monaco on a free. Yeah. Yeah, so he wouldn't get sacked because I mean I don't look the way the modern football player contract works. I guarantee we probably couldn't sack him anyway. But what's the value in sacking Garnacho? Terminate his contract. He's not even on good wages. Garnacho's only on about 60 grand a week. So it would hurt us. This is what I mean. This is where football clubs go wrong when they don't instill a culture of discipline and respect. Because to us, if we sacked Garnacho, he would benefit. Because if you sack him, you can't sell him. And he's not on big wages anyway. So he would then be a free agent to go where he wants. So there's no value in Man United sacking him. We basically just have to... I'd fine him wages, though. Tried to vote, but it's a defence. Nothing shocks me these days, says Alan. Imagine if a player is the 70s wore a rival shirt, says Light and Dark. This isn't trolling, it's a generational gap. For younger fans, there's nothing inappropriate about it, says Kirill. I don't understand. Well, yeah, it's just, well, it's a shame that football's gone that way then, isn't it? It's a shame that we've got Man United fans who think it's okay for a Man United player to wear a rival shirt on holiday. It's a shame. But maybe the world is changing. Pirate of the Perineum says, that's like saying I put it up my wet mate's wife. It wasn't really that deep and my mate should accept it. Some people quite like that, though. I voted yes because I thought it meant whether I'd like him to transfer to Villa. Seeing the post now, completely against this is HC. Joseph says, happy Sunday, guys. If Villa are the only serious team to get him, what do we even do? Says Joseph. Napoli do want him, but he wants to stay in the Premier League, probably wants to go to Villa. Look, I don't mind him going to Villa. Up until 2 hours ago, there was part of me that was thinking United are making a big mistake getting rid of Garnacho. And if he goes to Villa and proves Man United wrong, more fool us. What I think we've clearly got here is, and it's always a dilemma, Amorim probably knows that Garnacho's a good player, but he probably also knows this is how he behaves. And if I'm Amorim, it doesn't matter how good he is. If that's how he behaves behind closed doors, get out. And this is something as fans we're not always exposed to. But if that's how he behaves behind closed doors, all we see is this talent that's a bit inconsistent and needs to grow up. If Amorim sees the talent but also sees the behaviour, what would you do? What would you do if you had a player for the last 7 months and you've given them loads of chances, but their personality is like that? Would you stick with them, knowing that they're probably always going to be like that? Or would you bin them off and risk the fact that they might change somewhere else? I can sort of understand. 43% wear their wives' knickers, says Mo. I'd take Sancho, Rashford and Garnacho all on tour, lock them in their bedrooms at day and sit them on the kids' table at mealtime, says Danny. I remember a while back when Bruno was outing, I've done that one from El Nasser as well. There are a few other things I wanted to talk about tonight. I don't know whether we're going to get the time to do it. But yeah, look, what I was going to talk about is the Napoli, was it the Napoli sporting director, or was it the Napoli? Yeah, sporting director of Napoli, Giovanni Mana, basically saying, we've made an offer to Sancho, it's clear, and we will not pay his requested salary. So Sancho's still at it, isn't he? He's still demanding silly money based on a reputation he's never lived. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's not surprising. But it's not a good weekend for Man United. We need to off, and this is why I think a large portion of United fans have become very astute in the sense that, yeah, it's great to buy people like Cunha, but every summer, really, the intelligent fan is also thinking, what about the outgoings? Especially when you need to sell to buy, but also it's not even about sell to buy. It's about removing players that need to go. Victor Lindelof here was here for 8 years. You could never take a pop at Victor Lindelof's attitude, but he was here for too long. And we know that Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho have got to go, and we know that Amorim wants them to go. But what a weekend. Sancho asking for silly wages from Napoli. So he ain't going anywhere, is he? Rashford doing YouTube interviews, bigging up Barcelona. And Thierry Henry's his idol, apparently. And Garnacho wearing an Aston Villa shirt. It's a hat-trick of bad behaviour, whatever you want to call it, but it's a hat-trick of a reminder that these problems... Sancho will be going, if you want me to go, you can pay me to go. Rashford will be going, I'm forcing my move where I want to go. And Garnacho will be going, I'm forcing the move where I want to go as well. So we haven't really got a power play in any of that. And look, that is a lot worse than what's going on with someone like Onana who's saying, I don't want to go. But it's all the same. Player power in control. What do you do? We all criticise Wilcox, Barada, the Glazers. I mean, the Glazers are responsible for creating the culture, of course. But if you're Sir Jim Radcliffe, what do you actually do? What can you actually do with Garnacho? Like, yeah, you can fine him for acting an idiot, but he'll just act an idiot even more. He's basically, all that is from Garnacho tonight. And I'm not respecting it because I'm a Man United fan. I don't respect it. I think it's disgusting. But I can play devil's advocate and see it for what it is. That is a power play. I'm not completely against it if I'm not a Man United fan. It's just a big up yours to Man United fans. But that's a power play. It's calculated. It's purposeful. It's the third picture in 9, but it's the most impactful one. And it basically says, fuck you, I'm leaving, I'm in control, and I'm so in control, I'm confident enough to wear a rival shirt. And his stance will be, I want to go to Villa. That's where I want to go. And you're not selling me where you want me to go. So, and also on top of that, maybe he has already said, I want to go to Villa. And maybe Villa want him, and United have said, absolutely not. So he's gone. Well, there's the picture. It's a power play. He doesn't need to do that if everything's going his way. If Villa are going to offer 40 million and Man United are okay with it, and he knows they're okay with it, he doesn't need to do that. That is a power play. That is, I need to do this to force something to show you who's in control. This is a power play now. And it could run for fucking weeks. That's the problem. All I wanted with Garnacho was just a quick, easy parting of the ways. But this will run for weeks now. and it becomes another delay. And what we were talking about last night about too slow, this is exactly what we're talking about. Everything's moving too slow. Everything's a problem, and we're not very good at dealing with these. I look at Wilcox, he's inexperienced. Vival is used to dealing with younger players. You need a really, you need a Berta. You need someone like that. You need a sporting director with massive experience and knowledge and respect. And it's going to be a real baptism of fire now for Barada and Wilcox. And I'm not saying they can't do it, but they've got a very, very hard job ahead of them. Torres says, I have to say I supported Garnacho for a while, but his attitude is more of a Spaniard than an Argentine. He should put his head down and grind, not look for attention. Take Martinez for an example. It's such a shame. It's such a shame because he's a fantastic player and I think he'd be a good player for Villa. And part of me, if he goes to Villa now, I want to wish him well. I think Villa's a good football club. They're inoffensive. I don't have an issue with Villa. And if Garnacho went there in the right way, it's a parting of the ways that both are mutual on. But it's so disappointing that you have to use Man United. You have to take the piss out of Man United fans. You could have maintained a relationship with United fans. If we play Villa next season and he's a Villa player and he comes to Old Trafford, he's going to get booed. He could have got cheered. But that's the stupidity, isn't it? I think there'll be a large part of him now going, okay, I didn't realise I'm actually doing this to piss the United board off. I'm not doing it to piss the fans off. And he might have misread the room because he's inexperienced. Or he might see it as collateral. I would like to think he's misread the room. I would like to think that people like Rashford and Garnacho and Sancho don't do it to piss the fans off. And it's just stupidity. But the reality is you have. Do you expect to get the Mbuemo here we go this week? And are we likely to get Gyökeres? Look, that's what I want to see, Daniel. I mean, these are problems to resolve. And in a way, they are just proving Amorim right by behaving like this. I mean, there is one winner tonight, and it's Ruben Amorim. They're trying to get at him. Garnacho and Rashford are basically teaming up in more ways than one. Rashford's replying, and he's got Rashford on his back, so they're teaming up. But who's been proved right? Amorim. Amorim said that Amorim questioned their attitude and their personalities, and they've walked into it. So what we need to see is the football club defending Amorim now, because he's getting it from Rashford, he's getting it from Garnacho. So the club need to come out and get Mbeumo and Gyökeres and people like that, and focus on the positives, build our own future, and move on from the past. Once this toxic inner circle goes, we will improve, says Reese. And Mark Kennedy says, I hope Garnacho flops wherever he goes. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Back Amorim to these overpaid babies that we call players, says Mark. World Cup year, Demandi goes to Napoli and he will, says Matthew. Well, it's a dangerous game to play. I mean, I look at this and I go, look, power play. Rashford's doing an interview in Spain, asking for Barcelona to take him. I think if Barcelona come in, United will do a deal. Garnacho's wearing a Villa shirt because he wants to play in the Premier League. United are not powerless in this situation. The longer this window goes on, the more they miss a pre-season. If I'm Ruben Amorim, I'm saying they are not training with my first team. No fucking way am I having them anywhere near my first team. They've took the piss. I don't want them. They know I don't want them. I'm trying to build a team for next season. They cannot train with my first team. So they're not training with the first team, first of all. Then they're not getting a pre-season. Then it's a World Cup year. If they don't get a pre-season and they don't get a move until August, they're going to go wherever they go without a pre-season, and they're going to be cold. And they might miss the international, especially Garnacho. If he misses September, October, November internationals, he's got a very low chance of getting into the World Cup. So we have to fight fire with fire. The problem is, if you want quick sales, that's going to be jeopardised. Who is it that decides what you're wearing on a daily basis? Is it you or your wife, says Jonas? I mean, that's just the most ridiculous comment I've ever heard. I decide what I'm wearing. And I would also decide, if I'm as a Man United player, I would also be fully aware of what I'm doing when I say to my wife, take a picture of me wearing an Aston Villa shirt. FFP aside, I'd swap Garnacho for Watkins, says Mo. Garnacho justifies Amorim's perspective on players, says David. I think this is the issue, says JM. People have joined and thought you were asking whether it's okay for him to sign for Villa. Can't be asked. Oh, is it okay for him to wear a Villa shirt? I know what you mean. Yeah, okay. I probably worded it a bit wrong. Boundaries over forgiveness. Stop giving big wages, says Life. Best of luck to Garnacho wherever he's going. He clearly knows what he's doing. Don't have much brains as a grown-up, clearly acting like a 16-year-old, says Lee. Thank you very much for that. There was still a couple of things I wanted to talk about on the show, and I don't want to miss them. Spoke about Mbuemo. Oh, yeah, I did want to talk about this. So we spoke about Moana. We spoke about the Mbeumo story at the start of the show. We're not going to have time to talk about the Swedish Rumble stuff, but I will have time to talk about this. And I suppose it feeds into what we're talking about here. United don't have a lot of money. It would have been different if we'd won the Europa League final and put ourselves into the Champions League. We don't have a lot of money. It was Fabrizio Romano who said he was 90% or 99% certain that Man United would have got Gyökeres if we'd won the Europa League final. I think one of the things that's really frustrating at the moment is I really do sort of feel like I've seen a lot of transfer windows with Manchester United. We've seen a lot of ups and downs. I've seen United under Sir Alex and the whole there's no value in the market, which is where Man United sort of made out they had money, but there wasn't a player that fitted what they wanted. I think there's been times where we've had money and the market's been slow. Like sometimes, I'm trying to think of actual summer transfer windows. I think the summer that Mourinho got sacked, we didn't really do a lot, and there wasn't a lot in the market to do. And some of that was because the Glazers didn't want to spend money. But there's certainly been summers where we've had money, but the market's not that great. So you might want a striker, but there's not really much there. You might want a centre-back, but there's not much there. I think this summer it's such a shame. And I was thinking about this, and I wanted to bring it in. Obviously, we didn't win the Europa League, and that cost us a lot of money. Obviously, we need to sell to buy, and we're having really big problems selling. None more so than when a player's walking around in a rival team's shirt, and etc. But what the real big frustration is that for all the summers that we've actually had money, like last summer we spent £300 million, look at what's available this summer. And I was thinking about this. You've got Emi Martinez is available. Costa is available. Like, Costa's ready to leave Porto. Emi Martinez is ready to leave Villa. There are other goalkeepers as well, but there are good goalkeepers out there, and we need a goalkeeper. In the striker situation, you've got Gyökeres, you've got Osimhen. There are others as well. So the striker market and the goalkeeper market, of which we need both, are actually quite full. We just don't seem to have the money to do anything about it. And it's so bloody frustrating because what Ruben Amorim needs is that open heart surgery rebuild. And this is a really weird summer transfer window because there are really good options in every area of where we need improvement. And I don't know how it's going to end up. Maybe we will get a goalkeeper. Maybe we will get a good striker. But it is frustrating in that sense that there have been summer transfer windows before where you've got money, but there's not players available. The players are available this summer, and it's like, it's not that they're not available. Like, if we had the money, we really could get the goalkeeper. We really could get the striker. Maybe we still will. But what I'm saying is, if on August the 31st it's a crap summer transfer window, it will be because we couldn't find the money to do the deals that were there to be done. Pirate of the Perineum says, let's be honest, Slot walked into Prada Prep, walked into Dolce & Gabbana, Amorim's walked into Temu, and the latter can only sell things with a discount. Thank you, Pirate. Emily Derry says, what players like Rashford and Garnacho probably haven't twigged is that bad attitude, grandstanding will expose them at better run teams with better coaches, such as Aston Villa and Barcelona, says Emily. But what did I say last night, Emily? The funny thing is, Garnacho will probably go to Aston Villa determined to prove Amorim wrong, and that will get him out of bed every morning, and that will focus his mind every morning, and then Emery will teach him. And then everyone will say, it's Amorim's fault. But I said to you before, I've had people work for me in the past. I've had friends and everything like that, ex-partners, who you break up or you sack them or whatever for a reason, and then they go somewhere else and they use that as a motivation to be better. That's just life. I mean, I can genuinely see Garnacho going to his next club and using being kicked out of Man United as his motivation. It's normal. The frustrating thing is, why couldn't you do it at Manchester United? And I'm not saying that's wrong. I can genuinely see him going to Villa or somewhere else and being, I'm going to prove Amorim wrong. And he gets up and he works and he grows up. But he hasn't done it at Manchester United. And that's the frustrating thing. Sometimes it happens a lot. It happens a lot. I mean, I remember a mate. Well, they're still a mate now, but they're married, so I have to be very careful about who I'm talking about. Definitely not Andy. Anyway, it's not him. But he went out with this girl for about 2 years, and they were quite frigid, in the sense that, let's just say that, you know, I mean, look, you could argue that he shouldn't have been talking about it with us, but you know, I'm sure people do. And basically, she wasn't up for a lot of stuff beyond the ordinary. Anyway, they broke up, and within about a couple of weeks, he heard it through the grapevine. Marvin Gaye walked in. No, I didn't. That she'd got with this other bloke, and basically everything was on offer. But when he was with her, no. Now, you can interpret that in any way you like, but it wasn't on offer, and then it was on offer. And sometimes it's just human nature. You know, you break up with somebody, you get sacked or whatever like that, and a switch goes off where you go, right, I'll prove them wrong. So look, I can see Garnacho. Look, I think Garnacho is a fantastic footballer. I'm never going to change my mind about that. I think Mason Greenwood was a generational talent. I'll never change my mind about that. I think Marcus Rashford could have won a Ballon d'Or, and I said it. I did, and I can't lie. But that doesn't mean that the way they behave or the way they've performed, they can't be called out for that. You know, you're only as good as your last game, aren't you? That's a match-worn shirt, not a replica, says Trishan. So, what, Rashford's giving it to him? Well, he still shouldn't bloody wear it, should he? You can't, look, I don't care. Look, if you're trying to insinuate that Rashford's given him the shirt and told him to wear it, and Rashford's the mastermind, I mean, come on. That's like saying, you know, if somebody tells you to put a hand in a fire, whose fault is it? You know, and we can't say that Rashford's done that at all. It's nothing to do. That's why I've said the name on the back of the shirt doesn't bother me at all. It's the fact that he's wearing a Villa shirt. Basically, Garnacho takes responsibility for that. Nobody else. Absolutely nobody else. Bruno staying has ruined the window, says Ross. Look, if you would have sold Bruno, that's your right. Amorim didn't want to sell Bruno, and that's his right. What players like Rashford and Garnacho? I've done that one from Emily Derry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that as well. There are always questions, says Smoggy, about Sancho and Garnacho's attitude as youngsters, and neither have matured. Rashford's attitude has been more of a surprise, but I believe that's more to do with his entourage. Rashford's attitude from when he broke into the team for the first few years was absolutely fantastic. You look at the early years of Rashford, the movement, the work rates, the determination was absolutely, you know, first class. I don't know whether it was injury or fame or whatever, but it did change. But yeah, he had a brilliant attitude for the first few years. Can we bring back David De Gea, says Karen? I've never heard anything about it. Never heard anything about it at all. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way, and do subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate that. I mean, this is a very good comment from the big debater, who says, what's worse is, you know, it's deliberate by Garnacho to piss United fans off, because Rashford's not even a Villa player, and he isn't going to be a Villa player. Yeah, look, ultimately, everybody ultimately he knows what he's doing. If you're trying to find an excuse for it, I'd love to hear it, but he absolutely knows what he is doing, and therefore, you know, you have to take the blame for it, I suppose, don't you? Yeah. All I would say is welcome to Manchester United. It never stops, does it? It never stops. We're trying to conduct a transfer window that's going to be transformative for our manager, and all that's happening is we're just being reminded of all the problems that every other manager has had, the difficulty in removing players and the slowness in signing players, and this is just like deja vu. I mean, Beyonce may as well come in and start singing. I mean, where's what's his name? Bill Murray. Groundhog Day. It's like player power stopping sales and crap negotiators slowing down deals as well. But there is a way out. You have to try and focus on the positive. Amorim is right. I mean, he's not wrong, is he? I'm not. I wasn't happy with the club selling Garnacho. I really, really wasn't happy about it. Amorim era has said that if this was your turning point regarding Garnacho, then that's extremely worrying. This isn't even deep. He's done far worse. I think it is deep, mate. But you've got every right. You've got every right to say I told you so. I'll take the L on it. You know, as I said, I've given him a chance. I've backed him. I've supported him. I'll take the L on it. Got it completely wrong, but I don't think you can say it's not deep. Because I think it is. But look, as I was saying, there is a way out of this. I mean, if you want to look at it pragmatically and take the emotion out of it, was Amorim right to expose Garnacho and Rashford way back in December and leave them out of a Manchester derby at the Etihad, which we won? Yes, he was. Has he been proven right 6 months later? Yes. Has his issues with their attitude been proven right? Yes. Is he trying to get rid of them? Yes. What you need is a strong leadership to back him up. I think the club should put a statement out tonight and act like a proper football club. I think certain other clubs would. If we can get Mbuemo in and we've got Cunha in, I believe these players are the right sort of players that you want at Manchester United. For a start, they're 25. They're not kids doing stupid things on Instagram. They're experienced players who've proven themselves in the Premier League, who are ready to step up and play football. These are why paying £60 million for Cunha and Mbeumo could be worth their weight in gold. We might be paying too much. They might not be successful, but these are why I and many of you were saying in the season, we need to stop buying potential and start buying proven, because they're worth their weight in gold. And if we can bring a striker in that's 25, 26 as well, grown-up attitudes, definitely. And I'm certainly hoping that that's the way that we're going to go. It's obviously planned with a match used shirt. Probably asked Rashford for a shirt, knowing he's going to take a picture and post it, says Trishan. For me, Rashford just needs to leave. I don't see the need in bringing him into this. I don't feel that, you know, it's a bit like when Garnacho and Rashford got dropped in December. Garnacho was back in the squad very quickly. Rashford never got back. Some people wanted to throw Garnacho into that, but Garnacho came back and worked hard and played for the rest of the season. Rashford didn't. So it was unfair to throw Garnacho into the Rashford treatment, because it was Rashford who never played again, and it was Amorim who said he wasn't working hard. In this case, it's unfair to throw Rashford into Garnacho's post. Maybe something was agreed between them, but it's on Garnacho's Instagram. He has to take responsibility for it. He's the one who has to take the criticism for it. All's fair in love and war. I think he's trying to screw the club over to get the move that he wants. And he's got to put himself and his family and his interests first. It's a shame. We've got to put our interests and our family first, and Man United comes first. And you've basically took the piss. Villa fans will be loving it. Liverpool fans will be loving it. You know, I'm sure Liverpool fans tonight will be laughing their heads off, going, God, imagine if we had a player that is posting a picture in a Villa shirt. You know, it's a laugh. It's a laugh. Is there any more transfer news to go through, says Smoggy? No, we've covered it all. Maybe he felt fans backed him and Rashford, not Amorim, says Rylan. And sometimes I feel like someone like you should walk into the club and just remind them all of the past. It's like we make the same mistakes on rotation, like they've just happened for the first time, says Nick Pitt. Well, it's not someone like me, but, you know, the club should have people in the club capable of doing that. Yeah. Fine him 2 weeks' wages, reserves till January, says Richard White. The toxic Freedom brothers, Rashford, Sancho, and now Garnacho, says Alan. What do you think Amorim will be thinking if he doesn't get the signings he needs? How does he navigate a situation like that, in your opinion? Look, ultimately, I think this might not be a bad thing if you're Amorim. If I was Amorim, I would be actually quite happy. I'd be like, if he's on holiday, I'd be like, I'll have another sangria. I'd be quite happy because the problem is the club's, not his. He's been proven right. Amorim's been proven right. He's jettisoned Rashford and he wants Garnacho out as well. So he's been proved right on that. You know, their behaviour has been unprofessional this weekend. So he's been proven right on that. He is also in a position where he can't pick them now. Like, they've literally made themselves unpickable. You've got Rashford talking about Thierry Henry and, you know, begging for Barca. And you've got Garnacho wearing a Villa shirt. So Amorim's the king in that sense. He can't pick these players because if he does, they're probably going to get booed. So they've basically backed themselves into a corner that they've got to leave Man United. And he wants them to leave Manchester United. So therefore, they can't play. And if we don't replace them, then his squad is thin. So really, if you're Amorim, I'd look at it and go, it's not my problem how quick they get rid of them. And it's not my problem how quick they replace them. But they have to get rid of them and they have to replace them. And if they don't do it till the end of August, then I'll have the sympathy. So I think if you're Amorim, you're probably not that stressed. You'd be more stressed if you're Barada. You'd be more stressed if you're Wilcox. But if you're Amorim, you're sort of like, you've been proven right. He doesn't do the negotiating. So he looks stronger tonight. But the club now has to deal with it, certainly. Anyway, look, fantastic show tonight. A little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but certainly an eventful one. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. As I said, I'm not ranting and raving. I'm disappointed with Garnacho. I feel that this is the modern footballer who plays football fans and then spits them out. Loyalty doesn't really exist with many players these days, does it? It does exist in fan bases and it does exist in some clubs, but we don't have that relationship because we have a toxic football club. And, you know, hopefully one day that will change. But you can't trust these players. You know, the first sign of trouble and they're willing to shit on you, basically. So a lot of fans have backed Garnacho and I feel like he shat on them tonight. And he's done it willingly. And I think, yes, he's young. Yes, he's inexperienced. And maybe there will be an apology. But I've certainly backed him for a long time. I feel a bit foolish for that. Many of you've backed him, and you might feel a bit foolish. And I'm not here to start being abusive and anything like that. I just feel massively like he was bang out of order, and I feel massively like I don't care if you don't like Barada or Amorim, but the fans have backed you, and you've shit on them, and I just think that's a bit, you know, you're making an enemy out of people that probably would have wished you well. It's a shame, but that's the modern world, isn't it? Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. I will speak to you all very soon. Take care. Absolute legends tonight. Let's see what this week's brings, but I certainly think it's going to bring news. That's one thing we can't complain about. We've definitely got news now. Maybe not the news we want, but we need a culture change, as Thiago says. Thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate it as ever, and I'll speak to you a little bit later. Who knows? Might be live again tonight. Let's see what happens, but take care, everyone.